Hello, everybody, and a warm welcome back. And we are live again, only after a stream only a couple of minutes ago. But this time it is a different one. We're going to be live. We're live for New Age Championship here at the Austrian Grand Prix. It is round 3 of this season. We've seen nice racing the last couple of weeks, and we're back to racing to see some more. And it is Austria, and I like to call it in my own self, in my own kind of in my own kind of a word for it is the paradise for penalties. There is no driver that doesn't have a penalty around here, and if you don't, you are the absolutely lucky one here, because mostly so many drivers, invalidate, especially the final corner, turn 10. It's a very hard one to nail. If you don't, you'll be very slow, but if you try and go a little bit faster, you could eventually go over the line and invalidate your lap. So it'll be interesting to see now Ryan in that Williams. So a new driver maybe. Devon in that, Williams. Duran is in the Alpine. Devon's in the Williams Special. Oliver in Cornable in the Haas, along with Killer in P6. Russo win P7. Obviously then Mugello, you got a victory as far as I could remember it correctly last time out in Baku. You did an exceptionally well done. Tyron is going to be it. He couldn't get a very good result last time. He got a decent result, but eventually not as good as he is what he is eventually known for. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting. DJ, Evil, Victor Dog, Brando, Raichu, Romero, and Dees is back. Dees is going to be at the back, once again in the mix of fighting these drivers, and I'm sure he'll be on his own to give us the challenge that he's been trying to do throughout the last season or so. So once again, he'll be on. It's a bit of an overcast condition here, so it'll be interesting to see if we do see actually somewhat rain from rain around here. And at the moment, we've got actually a few drivers out on flying laps. It's going to be Romero, who's just making their way into its turn 4. What about anybody who is on a flying lap and making not closer to be and almost closer to the end of it, and has to be the man on your screen. That is going to be Killer in P6. As I say, P6, obviously he hasn't got a time on board, so he hasn't got much to do him in the moment. He just simply has to set a lap in, and pretty much a benchmark time for everybody else to beat. Will they be able to get a lap in? This is very important, and definitely there's so much space left around the outside, so this is a decent lap, 105.9, but definitely we drivers expect drivers to do better than this. 105.9, as I just said, to expect drivers to do better. 106.7 from Romero there, so maybe it might have just been a decent enough lap time, as obviously on the first couple of laps the drivers not so on their full potential or on their 100%, as we're now on driver we're going to be looking at. It's going to be Raichu in that Red Bull over the finish line. Do they get anywhere near the top? Yes, they do get near the top, but not only near, but they get to the top, you shall say. And as I said, 105 might not have been the best of times, as Raichu just beats it. It's a decent lap time, though, so far, by the looks of it, as the amount of lap times we have. And Russo puts it P2 on a set of medium tyres. So that is interesting, and definitely he's got enough speed by the looks of it here, has Russo, as it is 105.775, and that too on a set of medium compound tyres. So definitely expect those, at least those 7/10s for him to go, at least for him to go, just from the tyre deficit, just from the tyre itself. You can expect him to go from, 105 7s to 105.0s, and then they can improve on their soft tire. Meanwhile, Brendo manages to go a little bit better, 105.5 to 42. It's going to be brilliant. What about D's, the next Ferrari to go over the line? And they've got an invalidated lap. That means they haven't got much at all. As that is not a good idea. Not a good idea, but I mean, it's not nobody's idea to really, you know, invalidate laps. So maybe, or maybe it is their idea. But they're gonna go again for it. 17.8 in that first sector. Meanwhile, Tyron, our previous champion here at New 8 F1, is now going to be on in P14, obviously without a time so far. They're out on a set of soft compound tyres. They will be definitely the driver we have our eyes on. They didn't get a very good result, a decent result as I said, but not, you know, especially with what we saw them do in Australia, pretty much have a very dominant race. So we didn't see them dominate or be near the top to win in Baku, but how good will this one be? And definitely they have backed out by the looks of it. They're simply going around, warm their tyres up, get the prep lap in, and get the get a lap time on board. What about D's? 110.8, not competitive, only second slowest time out there. What about the Red Bull? One of the Red Bulls has got a time on board, but what about our race winner from the previous race at Baku? Not a good, so these drivers haven't really probably get in. I mean, 104 is a very, very good time from Raichu. 105s is a very decent time as well from the three of the drivers, and by the looks of it, what about Tyron, the man who we have all our eyes on? He is okay. Eventually, he's only going to be starting his lap just now. The two RB drivers, sugar-free Red Bull drivers, as we call it here. With these guys are out on the track, as Oliver is in P14 now without time on board. So the 12 drivers have got a time on board. The others have not. And I'm not sure who that is on a flying lap, and that is Devon in that Williams over the line. They have got a time 106.7 so far to their name. What about Russo? Meanwhile, Dees goes over the line, and they'll put a lap in. That is very good, a 105.5456, and that is a very excellent lap time, considering nobody else has managed to catch up to Raichu. So Raichu's lap is going to be exceptionally well. What about Mujel, who's got a brilliant, who had a victory last time out, and we're still missing somebody, unless somebody's started out as Freddy's in, so they might have just got the invitation now. What about Tyron, the man who we would have had our eyes on, and we will have our eyes on now, as they put this one on pole, just taking a single prep lap, and they'll take it up to pole position, 103.864. A brilliant lap from the Mercedes driver. He's definitely looking to go back to the dominance plan of his racing. Dominance plan to do the performance we know they do. So definitely they'll be on their way to do a better job. Meanwhile, DJ in that Alpine, rather it will be their teammate Ryan in the other Alpine. How good that time will be, 106.0. So it is at least decent enough for them to get a lap time out there. That is eventually to get on. So interesting thing so far would be that Tyron's put it on pole. Raichu in the 104s. Nobody closer to those 104s, and now nobody is even closer to those. Nobody obviously was closer to 104s. Tyron into his dominant phase that we know is going to continue. Still a lot remains, though. I mean, over 9 minutes almost remain in session, so it can change, though. And if anybody is to change, it could be Midu, it could be Evil. It can, you never know. It could even be Oliver and Ian if they get a lap in, or Romero, Archie, Russo. D's definitely would be along with Brando, a driver who could beat this time. So everybody's got the chance. Everybody's got the opportunity to make it all. Meanwhile, a Red Bull is going to be in the pits of Mado. They'll be in. What about Evil in that McLaren? They're improving by a couple of seconds. And will this one be good enough for a decent lap time? Yes, it will be. Moves over up into P3. And the second driver to go into the 104s. So as I said, we're only going to be now getting into the second half of qualifying. And it's only right we get some lap times which are very good and which are the times that are going to be decent in terms of, you know, those, many of them getting a lap in, many of them not just yet, and definitely these second halves will give us the more of idea of what we're going to be looking at. I mean, Tyron might be set for the session so far, and I won't be surprised if he simply decides to retire out of the session and get himself out of it. Because eventually it is going to be like, okay, I've got the lap in, I don't need to do any better, and I'm going to retire, or it's almost like, okay, I don't think anybody else is going to be doing better to catch up to me. Will pretty much be the retirement of their lap. What about Evil there? By the looks of it, they're going to come into the pits. Yes, they will. As Michelle, it is Michael, I think their name, if I'm not wrong. They're going to come into the pits. Meanwhile, one of the Alpines, it is going to be DJ over the line on an invalidated lap. What about Oliver in that RB? Meanwhile, the teammate will move over up to P6. 105.624 is a very good lap time. Meanwhile, Oliver is moving around despite those shakes. It'll still be decent enough for P9 in the 105s at least. Well, their teammate is also in 105, so not a lot of difference is pretty much there. So, you know, not a lot of differences there. So you could say, okay, it is what it is. And we're going to get on by looking at these things so far. So it's about where are we going to be going? Romero and on a cool down lap here. Meanwhile, one of these Ferrari drivers would be on a very fast lap, and it'll be Dees, the man on a fast lap. He's going to improve further by over 9/10 and goes back onto the front row. 104.555 will be the time for everyone around to beat. Can they beat it though? Which is going to be a very good verdict for everyone to get. And if Tyron wasn't there, it would have been Dees on pole. But can they get that one now? I mean, brilliantly done so far. A lap that's going to be on. I hope the stream's okay, because for weird reason, even at this hour of the night, I'm not getting good internet speed. So there might be some explanation to do for the internet provider. But also, one thing then, it is over 21% my CPU is being used, which is interesting to say the least. Usually around, especially on a PlayStation stream I did last night, it wasn't much in terms of, you know, if there's, you know, if there's going to be any, Tyron's retired, and pretty much that's going to be it for them in qualifying. And we know that it is going to be their end of qualifying. We might get one man. What about Mido, who hasn't got a time on board at 105.360 will be P5 for them. They'll definitely be looking to catch up the pace, pick up the pace and speed right now to do the job that they would have been looking to do, and continue on their speed on what they will be doing and what we're going to be looking at them do. Alright, so the moment, eventually, it's not much. Actually, it is OBS itself, which is taking this much of a percentage, which usually it is, but maybe when we are streaming from, or maybe it does take this much eventually. I might have not known, and definitely some things which we'll okay, we've actually continued on with a couple of them, so that's okay. I mean, as long as it's obviously still remains only 20% to say the least, as my older CPU would be 100%, and then it would almost be dying because of wanting more. So definitely we have a lot of space for that. But meanwhile, Connabel might want some more space on the track, because they're going to be out out of the, they're going to be getting out of the way of these one of a driver, but that is going to be a lap they'll have to forget if they find themselves in the gravel. Meanwhile, their teammate is going to be still in P5, who's looking to improve and get better, but they just haven't been able to do that about now. What about the RP of Oliver? They'll just be starting their flying lap here. So the second part of qualifying, pretty much the ending part of qualifying now will be there. Freddy will be starting their flying lap. What about Wig the dog? That Mercedes over the finish line. Their teammate is on pole. Can they get anywhere near that teammate? It's going to be them in P6. And well done. Tyron's retired. He's simply going to be enjoying the qualifying action, knowing that they will, they will simply be not getting much in terms of they don't have to do much right now. Rather simply wait for everybody to finish their laps and for them to get to this one at the end of it. And what about Freddy? Rather, they'll be starting their flying lap now. So right then, so earlier I would have thought it was going to be Freddy, but it was Kayla who started their lap there, but they've backed out. That means they would have just been treating it as a prep lap. So now, what are we going to be getting, though? RB is going to be Oliver just behind the Red Bull, getting a bit of tow, but this is not a fast lap, but that only certainly means that they're going to be getting better and better. So that is on, and now only a minute and 35 seconds remain. It could be anyone who's going to be on their way. It could be anyone who's going to be getting this lap in now. It is 210's improvement by Special there. Are we going to see Archie get better? And yes, he will get better and indeed he did that on his previous lap. Goes over up to P5. Oh, Deez has got a penalty. Deez has got a 5-place grid penalty for the race, and that could be spicy out here. Oh, and meanwhile, we're talking about spice. It is going to be Archie who's put it in the wall. I doubt if that was on purpose, simply because qualifying was about to get to an end, or he's simply put it into the wall while trying to improve, while trying to get better, and simply could not hold it off there and finds himself in towards the wall. What about the Alpine of DJ? Meanwhile, his teammate is Ryan in P14. Hasn't been able to find the improvement. What about the sugar-free Red Bull of Ian over the finish line? A 10th improvement and into P7. A 10th and a half into P7. What about Conabel, whose his teammate got out of it, and now he's going to be coming into the pits as well. And it'll now go, we'll switch over to the Ferrari of D's, and he's on an out lap right there. So that is not a fast lap. And then Evil is also would have been on a flying lap, but they've invalidated, and qualifying is only getting to an end here. Is it going to be Freddy, who's got P15 right now? We'll be looking for a session. We'll be looking for an improvement. They will not be able to do that. Well, what about Brando? They just about find 4/10 there, and up into P6 as it gets them. So only 5 drivers. The top 5 from these 18 here could move into those 104s. Well, it was Tyron who's in the 103s, and it is everybody else inside that 104 inside that top 4. And now Drusso's got a 5-place grid penalty as well. Not sure what is going on with the Ferraris getting the 5-place grid penalty. As Days has joined, we couldn't invite them, but we're gonna invite them anyway. So in case when they are to join again, they might, eventually get another invite. And I'm not sure what these guys are gonna do now. Do we get a lobby restart? What's gonna be happening? Because that restart wasn't gonna be, those grid penalties Right, Days has left out again, so I'm not sure whether they're having some disconnection issues or what is exactly going on out for them, but brilliantly done by these all drivers in qualifying. Tyron continues his domination with a pole position and in P1 1-3.8. Days in P2, Evil in P3 with Raichu, Archie, Berendo, Midu, Wian, Victor Dog, Devin, all these guys now through. Up, down to P18 with DJ out there. So we're pretty much going to continue on the same one as it is. It will be. We're just going to be waiting as... looks like there's issues and problems for D's out there. Not so good of a... feeling at all, and it is interesting to get these things. It'll be interesting to see what goes on in this one, so I'm sure... Yep. So you can take control of your AI if these is, getting disconnected now. So let's see what is going to be saying. I mean, he himself says no, so I'm not sure what's going on, because I believe you can take control of your AI nice and easy, but unless you don't want to race. But let's see what's going to be happening. I think we've got other drivers to take care of, as 17 of them are going to be out on track as the teams prepare their cars and get their setups. The drivers get their setups ready, and as soon as they're out on track, we'll be ready to go racing and bring the action for 36 laps of racing here around Austria. Now on an interesting strategy choice. Definitely 36 laps of racing, so it would potentially be a two-stop strategy, because I think a one-stop could be tried by these drivers, but it would be a bit of a trouble for them to really achieve on, in terms of eventually what they're going to be trying to achieve moving forward. So it'll be interesting to get on, and I think they'll have the chance. They'll have all they can get now. So all of them starting on certainly a set of medium compound tires, apart from a few with Evil, Days, and Ian inside the top 10 on a set of hard tires. Outside will be Special, Freddy, and the bottom two, Connibal and DJ, starting on a set of those hard compound tires to take care of their race, at least for the moment. It depends how good that hard tire is. I think it'd be pretty decent, obviously, as F125 is. I'm just talking about, we had an F124 race a couple of moments earlier, and it's a so much different tire. Obviously, depends on race modules in terms of, going 50%, 25 or 35, but still F125 has very different. I mean, while we talk about different things, it is going to be 5 lights, and we go racing here at the Austrian Grand Prix. It's a decent start for Apollo. It's a decent start for Evil as well. Meanwhile, Raichu's not going to start at all. He's going to be losing against Archie, and he's going to go in front of the inside line as they make contact. There have been a couple of cars making contact out there at the back of the field. Meanwhile, Archie has got a fantastic start. He might try and have trouble. So on Tyron as well, heading towards stand 3. It's all that's going to be happening here. Alright, she's lost out a couple of positions. Deez is in P5. It's their AI again, I believe. Meanwhile, meanwhile, it's going to be Ian in P6 with Brando in P7. All these drivers heading towards turn 4. And that's going to be the Alpine of Ryan going into the back of one of those cars there. Nearly the Ferrari of Dees comes back on the track. It is all happening here at the start at Austria. Meanwhile, the Red Bull is going to try and go for it on the inside line. And Dees is car who would have had to start inside the air with an AI is now down in P18, and that is not a good one at all. And this is all happening a lot as Dees' car hasn't got a front wing, I believe. Freddie running down wide a little bit. And Russo has got a bit of front wing missing as well, I believe, as we're going to be moving up back to the top right now. It is going to be Raichu who's going to try and get back this position into P2. He'll be on his way to take that position back. Archie's going to stick in there on the inside line. He's going to get the move done. That move will be done just on the exit. A little bit of a moment for Raichu, but he'll get that rear wing open once more, heading towards stand 4. The opportunity will be his, and he will take it. Right there will Raichu, and now Devon, by the looks of it, has got him past the Alpine as well. Meanwhile, Brando and Ian are within close range of each other as well. Romero is on his way to get past DJ there, and he does get past DJ. The medium tire is doing the magic for him as Midu gets past Ryan as well in the Alpine. The Alpine driver seems to be losing a couple of positions despite starting on that medium softer compound tire as compared to the hard tire, as Ryan's going to come into the pits, and I think that's just they might have front wing damage considering they lost positions very early, and then they're coming into the pits as well, as the front wing will and should be ready for that Alpine team, Alpine car, and it indeed is very ready for him to be there, as Brando will be overtaking Ian on the inside line. Brando might run a little bit wide, but he will eventually not do that at all, as we are in Miguel with Midu in P8 by the looks of it as it is. Ooh, that's going to be a bit of an interesting thing as me going forward. It's going to be Brando and Ian fighting each other off out there. I mean, there's going to be a big something that has happened at the very back. That's going to be DJ, who's falling down towards the back of the grid, as he's got he's lost out to these drivers. Meanwhile, Freddy and Vig are going to be fighting each other off. One Mercedes driver is leading, the other is in P14. Meanwhile, Archie, Evil, and Raichu are all these drivers on their way. Meanwhile, Raichu's lost it out and maybe just fighting with Archie. We saw these guys go elbow out earlier on, and that only suggests that something similar would have happened again, and that would have resulted in Raichu losing that place. I'm sure he wouldn't be happy about that. I mean, we can't say much unless we have full information of what exactly happened. Meanwhile, we might see this on what happens here, as Romero might be under pressure. In fact, no, he's nowhere near to be found out there, as Freddy loses, stays behind Wig for the moment. He has done so for a couple of laps there, as D's in P12. I wonder if they're in the session or in their car, or not, because that AI, as it is on. So the drivers, the drivers now getting eventually within a bit of a form of a gap. The Tyron's already 5.3 seconds ahead of Archie. Archie's 1.3 seconds ahead of Evil. Then he himself is ahead of his teammate, 1.2 seconds. Now Ian is within the close range though. He's within 5 tenths, and with a lot of DRS zones, so many 4 DRS zones around here. It's actually 3, it's not 4, but still on a short track like Austria, just 10 turns with 8 to the right and 2 to the left is all we have. These 3 DRS zones are absolutely magic play, as Freddy gets past Wig there. He'll get the move done, so will Deez's car. Gets past Killer as well. I wonder if both of these guys are AI. I'm not sure, but So right when we know, and I was just on F124 earlier, and you have to say F125 is, at least in terms of graphics, it has to be a very, very it's a fantastic game. But I think graphics aren't what you judge an F1 game for. Meanwhile, I thought Uri almost lost it. Did right you there. He just about has it in control and keeps it to himself and keeps it where he should have done so. Meanwhile, Devon will be in a bit of pressure from Mudal as that Red Bull driver is now going to be within 3/10 of the Williams driver. They'll be side by side, racing each other off, heading towards turn 3. Who'll be the one later on the brakes? And it'll be the Red Bull driver as the Williams backs out of it very early, nearly goes into the back of the Red Bull there, but eventually he knows when to do and what to do. Right, to take these things on. Eventually I was talking, but my mic was not turned on. So now, as I said, you know, it's about these drivers eventually getting to the point of what is going to be happening and what we're going to be getting by the looks of it eventually. So right now, considering lap 7 out of 36, and as I said, drivers were pulling away from each other, but on a track like this, sometimes you could form up those DRS trains as Raichu is into the pits. There's a yellow flag at the back. Not sure what is going on. Cornable's got a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings, and somebody's retired, and it is Vic. They had a penalty and they've just retired, and meanwhile Raichu, who just came into the pits, it would have been the worst time for them to come into the pits just right now, considering it might be good in terms of, it actually might be the best time. Because now everybody's going to pit, and those who do pit will be losing out. I think otherwise these medium tire runners could have went over to lap 12, lap 13 maybe. Might just try and go on to a set of hard tires now, because you're anyways going to be doing a 2-stop race around here unless you're Tyron or you're somebody who has enough confidence to go to the end on those same tires. I mean, as I say, I mean, it's not impossible, but takes a lot, as Tyron himself is going to be coming into the pits, and he's on to get himself a set of brand new compound tires, and it should be the hard tires as it follows, and it indeed will be. So everybody comes in, one of these guys doesn't, and it is Ian who doesn't come into the pits. I mean, eventually he's on a set of hard tires, so maybe he wants to continue on those hards and probably prefer track position over anything to lead the Grand Prix. You know, if it's like, if I'm not going to have any chance of leading the race otherwise, I'm gonna take this one in my hands and at least try what I can do right now, which eventually, by the looks of it, he's going to be doing, and that is an exceptionally well done job. I mean, obviously, nothing's certain yet, so you can't really call a lot on anything just yet, but you have to say well done so far by him. I mean, considering it's not going to be much, though, because Tyron's just right behind him now, and everybody pretty much, actually, a lot of drivers have, so both RB drivers and then the D's AI, or Days has decided to stay out. So that's all you're going to be getting, you know. It's Days, and then it is Oliver and Ian, the two RB drivers on under the safety car, has stayed out inside the top 6. It is Conable who's also stayed out. Stayed out as well, so it makes 3 drivers inside the top 10 who have preferred track position over a pit stop or a free pit stop out of their way. But considering, you know, if Ian is to even pit right now, their best bet would have been a set of medium tires. I mean, had they went to a set of hard tires, and right now they're going to continue on, even if they would have done 15 laps on those hard tires, pitting on lap 7. it would have been, you know, about 17, lap 27. So they would have still eventually, or no, maybe they could have actually been able to finish this race had they went hard, medium. But maybe, just maybe, they're trying a different thing and not trying to pit just about right now. So it'll be interesting. So let's see what we're going to be seeing. Obviously, sometimes a different strategy could work out, and if it does work out, it is extraordinary well. You know, now we're on lap 9 out of 36. Continuing on, I think the safety car is going to be coming into this lap. Coming in at the end of this lap, and would be eventually the end of it. And actually, it is not the end of it. So it is interesting to see, to say the least. But eventual times, I think. So it's going to stay out still. So lap 11 pretty much will be the safety car restart. So we're going to be off for a second, and as soon as that safety car restart is in, as soon as we're ready to go eventually racing, by the looks of it, as still we're staying out the safety car. So it is, as it stands, Ian leads ahead of Tyrone on new tyres, with ahead of Tyrone, who's on new tyres. Ian, along with Special, who are on tyre deficit older tyres, with D's in P4 as well, followed by Archie in the top, completing the top 5. Outside will be Evil, Conable, Midu, Devon, and Brando inside, completing the top 10. And then it would be Freddy, Romero, Killer, Raichu, DJ, Ryan, and Russo, with Vic the Dog out of this race. And eventually the reason this safety car is out on the track. So safety car pretty much will be heading into the pits this lap, and as soon as we are on, we'll be taking the action again. So go Green Flags Racing, with Ian leading ahead of Tyrone. We're going to be on now, and we are more than ready. It is going to be Ian who goes on for it straight away already. Doesn't wait anything at all, as he's going to be leading up, heading towards turn 1. He's got his lead into himself, though, or Bill Archie. He'll try to get us past D's there, and he does get past D's almost, as he's going to go defensive on the inside line. Oliver's in P3, stays there. Meanwhile, Archie goes very wide, nearly pushed wide by D's car on the inside line into turn 3. He'll take that off. Special goes absolutely wide, and that challenge will be on as he gets overtaken by Archie. Deez's car will overtake them as well, as they will be into P4. As now Ian is going to be side by side with Tyrone. They nearly made contact. They'll be wheel to wheel between the two, and that tire deficit of over 7 laps against Ian is definitely going to be very visible, as Ian seems to be struggling already. Definitely. Those hard tires are not good when they're not to temperature, and that could be seen as well, as Archie's going to go get past Ian as well into P2. Archie's going to be flying with a couple of those who were at the top earlier, going to be, you know, not good. Maybe Archie was doing a pretty decent job earlier as well. The DRS now will get enabled out there. Ian is in P3 with Days, who did not pit as well. His 11 lap old hard tires. Meanwhile, was a bit of a contact. Not sure what is going on, because the front wing's intact, so maybe there was no contact. Meanwhile, Oliver, who's lost out. Oliver, indeed, earlier on was there. Meanwhile, Zramidu will get past him. There might be more drivers who are going to try and get past Oliver. It is going to be Devon in the Williams who will get past him, along with now maybe Brendo in that McLaren try and get past him as well, because it could be a double trouble for Special. He's going to go for it on the inside line of Devon. Almost trying to get past him. He almost does get past him indeed, but pushes him a little bit wide. A bit of contact between the two, and nearly that could have been issues or problems for one or the other driver out there. as we're pretty much 1/3 of the race past now, eventually. Ooh, we're not halfway through. Meanwhile, Mudel and Days are going to be fighting side by side. Mudel, Days, Midu does get past him into P6 as it goes. Days in P9 now into the pits to get themselves a new set of tires, and I wonder if they are in racing or still the AI controlling, because I remember back in Australia, the whole race of theirs was controlled by the AI. And it ended up finishing at the end. Meanwhile, a fight between these guys is happening there. Romero defends from Connable, but at the top, inside the top 10, the midfield fight is on as Raichu pulled away from these guys with Oliver in P8, followed by Midu in P7. Then comes Brando in P6. Meanwhile, Devon and Brando are going to be fighting each other off as Connable and Russo do that, along with Ryan is going to be there in the Alpine. He's going to go a little bit wide. That's going to allow Connable to get past him, but he just doesn't do it just yet. Eventually stays out, but Brendo will be on his way to get past the Williams, but narrowly avoids a bit of a contact. And doesn't get past him, or doesn't go for him for it just yet, but he'll get another opportunity. The DRS will be opening that. McLaren heading towards turn 1. He will not be doing that just yet, as it's going to be an opportunity for Brando once more to get past the Williams. He'll get the pass past the Williams, or will he though? Because heading towards turn 3, who's going to be later on the brakes? Devon does not back out of it at all, but he backs out. He eventually has to, as he slightly outbrakes himself, goes a little bit wide, and that easily allow the McLaren driver to get past him there. And the move will be done, and Brando now behind Ian, who's on 13-lap old hard tires, on his way to continue. Eventually we're on lap 14 out of 36, as lap 18 will be halfway through eventually, so we're not even halfway through just yet out here. But I think actually, as these penalties, multiple warnings, so multiple warnings would have been multiple track limits warning, I'd assume, and the penalties, as I said earlier on the start of the stream, many drivers will be getting these penalties, and eventually not the bottom, but from top 8 to PA 17 it is then Freddy, DJ, Killer. Freddy and DJ and Killer have got 10 seconds. Everybody else has got a 3-second time penalty. Meanwhile, Brando will be getting past Ian there, and those hard tires on Ian's car definitely would be not screaming good at all. As will there be a chance for Mudel to get past? He might have pushed Devon a little bit wide, because they'll be side by side, or will they be? Because by the looks of it, Raichu might have let Devon get past him, or no, in fact, Raichu, he wasn't fighting Raichu, he was fighting with Midu, so but actually eventually it's looking like that Ian is going to be on his way, and Ian's going to be either he's going to try and attack Brando, which looks pretty unlikely, and eventually it looks like there's going to be a bit of a, not a problem, but Midu pretty much looks on his way to try and overtake Ian there, and still stays out. So 16 laps, 15 laps, and now, and at the end of this lap it'll be 16 laps on these hard compound tires, so he still continues on along with his teammates. So both Haas team, RB teammates are on their own and doing the job they're put in to do, and really putting it all together. As on the inside line, he'll go and get past the RB, and he will get past the RB there eventually, as Ian is going to be losing out, and he might be losing out to Devon as well. Slightly goes wide a little bit, does Ian. He might have the opportunity to come back at him, because those medium tires are going to be very much out of grip as well on Devon's car. They'll be side by side. He nearly has to go wheel to wheel with him, not to back out, but he will have to back out now, as there is not much he can do, as Raichu is now getting up to Ian as well. And by the looks of it, he's only going to be losing positions as it stands, definitely on those older hard tires. And it's only right that he comes into the pits right now, and he does indeed come into the pits. So 17 laps on these hard compound tyres, a very decent time, but still you'll have to do a 2-stop strategy no matter what. Eventually, I think 15 laps, 17 laps on those hards, 12 on the mediums. That's pretty much what I'm going to be assuming. So a possible medium start to the end of the Grand Prix will be, as meanwhile Ryan gets past Romero, Dees gets past Ian there, because Ian was in the pits along with his teammate. So both the RB teammates eventually pitted at the exact same time. Meanwhile, Connable and DJ are going to be fighting each other off out on the track, maybe, as Devin is going to be on his way, by the looks of it, to attack the Red Bull of Raichu there. What will he be doing? How will he be doing that, though? Because is he going to be able to show us there? Because not to forget that he's also on over 9-lap-old hard medium tyres. But considering those behind the safety car, I believe at 3 laps on those tyres. So if you minus those 3 laps, it's going to be about 6 to 7 laps on these tyres. If you minus just 2 laps of that safety car, so 6 to 7 laps, I think not really that bad for a medium set of compounded tyre for you to continue on really for time being. And considering nobody really has much of a deficit over you, because pretty much everybody's almost exactly the same, so not a lot is really changed at all. So it's all it is. And now as the gaps are increasing, we're going to a bit of a normal gap. We're going towards the gap forming between these drivers. By the looks of it, as it's going to be Ryan almost going to try and get past Romero there, as it does very well to avoid any action, avoid any problem though, so that is brilliantly well done. But Ryan will eventually be staying behind Romero there, so not a lot of gaps now remain, none in the top actually, apart from Brando and Evil, his own teammate. But depending on how much they'll be fighting each other, it'll be interesting to see, because one being on a set of hard tires, the other being on a set of mediums, which eventually both will be soon pitting, but definitely those on the one on the medium will have his pit window next lap, possibly lap 12 to 13 on these medium compound tires. So it's only right he lets Brendo gets past him. He will not let him get past him there, by the looks of it, as Ryan and Romero will be fighting each other off as well. They'll be side by side on the exit. They nearly make contact. They do make contact out there, as once more Romero will be back on the exit with the help of that DRS and ERS to his savior, and he'll be getting that move done. Meanwhile, Brando gets past his teammate as well. As we just talk about that, he'll be doing that. Meanwhile, Ian on brand new medium compound tires will be side by side with D's, as it'll be wheel to wheel between the two. They make contact. They'll be on, but who'll be able to get the better of it? As on the grass goes Ian, and he took you should touch some grass a little bit too seriously. He doesn't touch it, but he takes his car there, so we're pretty much in halfway through in this race right now, and by the looks of it, lap 20 out of 36 is going to be on. You know, the next 26 laps are going to be on our way. Next, actually, it'll be 16 laps, not 26 laps, I shall say. These remaining laps, they nearly made contact once more. Absolutely. Later goes Ian on those brakes. Goes a little bit wide. That might allow these to come back, but it won't eventually be the case. Just about yet, as Oliver is now behind, I shall say, Devon as well. So depending on what exactly will be happening, we're all going to be out here to witness the action. It's still a decent amount of drivers racing each other off around here so far. So eventually what we're going to be doing, or what exactly will be happening there, is Raichu now within the second of the next car. Romero is in P7, far behind these guys. There's Aston Martin, and that must be Freddie, who's down in P16. And now Medell extends to the next car of Brando, and pretty much now, anytime soon, those pit stops will be coming, unless some of these drivers want to be extra heroic and do a set it on these hard tire on a one-stop strategy. Otherwise, everybody else should be on their way. Meanwhile, Raichu will get past Evil out there, and the move will be done from the Red Bull driver into P4-5, and Red Bull 5-4-5. We haven't got the championship standings actually made to us just yet, but it's a well done job. You know, it's going to be interesting to see, and I think definitely this is going to help Red Bull in the constructors with a 4 and 5 finish by the looks of it, considering everyone else has one single car in the top 10. Apart from McLaren and Red Bull in this one, so which is the two teammates who are going to be pretty much smiling under those helmets, considering they're going to get a bit of help within that Constructors' Championship, and Red Bull might be on their way to get a bit of extra of it, because by the looks of it, Midu might be on their way to fight Brando here, but will Brando allow him to be overtaken? By the looks of it, no, just yet. Meanwhile, a medium tire for Deez's car, and that's pretty much going to be the tire to the end of the Grand Prix. And exactly those who have to pit, I'd say they're going to pit probably those on the hard tires, or maybe going to pit into the next lap or two. And let's say those on the mediums, unless you're pitting just right now on the medium, especially Evil, it's definitely time for them to come into the pits right now. There's no other way for them. It's only going to lose them time. And meanwhile, Brando on those are 14-lap old hards is also going to be coming in as well. Meanwhile, Tyron and Archie, both of them have a decent amount of gap. Meanwhile, Tyron to Archie is over 13 seconds, while Midu to Archie is over 4.9 seconds, while Midu being on the same amount of laps on those tires is also pretty much not gaining anything, rather losing as well. Okay, now the penalty debate is on, while well, the second stops for everybody never mind. So the second stops for everybody are coming in, and now looking at this one, penalties, as I said, almost everyone. There's a penalty. Tyron and Archie, 3 seconds, along with Ian, Devon, and Evil gets his one as well, with Deez and Freddy, 3 seconds each as well. 6 seconds to Ryan and Killer, along with 9 seconds to Raichu, with over 25 seconds to Conabel. So the penalties are really unavoidable here, as Russo gets a 3-second one as well. So not a lot is going to be is remaining out at the moment in this one, and you know, considering everyone pretty much has a penalty apart from the two Raichu does have one, so it's Midu, Brando will become 2, Oliver 3, Romero 4, and only 5 drivers with DJ. Meanwhile, Deez and Romero are going to be fighting each other, as Deez will get past them, and an overtake will be done on their way as the move is on for the Ferrari into a new place, and pretty much everybody's going to be putting in. Midu is now into the pits as well for a set of medium compound tire. Pretty much it's going to be the case. Meanwhile, we're going to be looking at these drivers again, Romero and Deez, and I'd expect one of them, or in fact both of them, don't need to pit, as indeed both of them have pitted earlier. So it's going to be on now who pits and who does not. Eventually, meanwhile, these two guys are going to be fighting each other off very often moving forward. Meanwhile, Russo is going to be on those soft tires, but he's going to go very wide, will Romero, and that'll easily allow these to get past him, and he's almost gained up half a second over him with that. Well, one Ferrari is fighting a Sauber. The other Ferrari is fighting the Alpine. So both Ferraris are in action at the moment, and definitely these results are going to be left and right, and there's going to be a little bit pushing from Romero on those hard tires to the end of it. As yes, as I said, these penalty positions, as you're watching on screen, might not be the case of what happens to eventually what position we're going to be getting, because it's all about as I said, you know, it's in terms of that's going to be D's absolutely narrowly avoiding Romero there. I think with that move specifically, you could get an idea that probably D's was inside their car, because otherwise that move would have been unavoidable. Despite him having such a big incident, he doesn't lose a position. He loses out the time to Romero, though. He was within only a few hundredths of a second within him, and he's over 2.3 seconds behind him now. 3 tenths between these drivers over the course of it. Meanwhile, Archie has decided to pit for a set of soft compound tire, which is interesting, and our topic of talking about result got interfered earlier, and so basically, you know, because of these penalties, so much will switch. And despite our race leader Tyron has got a penalty as well, but it's only 3 seconds, and the gap to the next car for them is over 13 seconds, so not a lot, or it's not that as if anything will be changing for them. Meanwhile, anything might be changing for Brendo there, though, because he's going to be in absolute pressure from Archie on those soft compound tires. He's absolutely going to make sure to use those soft tires on, and he's going to get past him up into P2. Position will be made, and with now only about 7 laps remaining, including this one, and 6 laps after this lap, from lap 27, you know, from lap 28 to lap 36. Tyron gets another fastest lap on these brand new hard compound tires. So that is now on, and a lot is happening. Dees is now out, and he's lost out to Ian as well. Definitely the amount of, I think the amount of the mistake that was, it could have been very difficult for him to maintain where he was, for him to even stay around. So just lose one position, that is going to be fine for him. But eventually, to say that he's now outside the points, and earlier it was fighting Romero, he could have had a chance to take those points, but he's not going to be doing that today. Meanwhile, one man who could be doing it is going to be Archie. Or Kenny, though, because Brendo's going to be coming back at him, and they'll be will to will for a moment, but the McLaren driver does get past Archie, and you know these soft tires aren't going to be staying good for too long. It is only a couple of laps because these soft tires run out of grip, run out of traction as much as they have right now. As good as they're going to be sounding at the moment, they will turn that bad in a couple of laps. And now we are on, as Archie will have another opportunity. Meanwhile, he'll go for it on the inside line, send it into P2. That second place is up for grabs as well. Meanwhile, the 2 Red Bull teammates are going to be fighting each other as well for 4th and 5th place at the moment by the looks of it, as Evil is quite a few seconds behind these guys. So they're going to be on, as much as Archie and Brendo are going to be on. Miraichu and Midu are going to be on as well. So lap 29 out of 36. We're moving towards those final 6 or 7 laps to the end of it. Moving to those final 6 laps by the looks. All right, so actually we shouldn't have had 6 laps earlier when I said we have 6 laps after lap 27. It would have been 9 laps after the end of lap 27 there. So now we have still over 6 laps at the end of this one there. Tyrone is over 18 seconds ahead of the next car. Meanwhile, around the outside, the McLaren driver will make sure to make the move as the Haas driver will go a little bit wide, and it'll be Brendo who'll get past. He's going to get the overtake done, but the Haas is going to stick around though. He might not have the DRS available this time though, but he'll get the DRS on the next straight, and that's the beauty of Austria, that they have 3 DRS zones, consecutive zones, but a little bit of a mistake from RT is going to be costing him that time. The gap is over just about nearly within 9/10, and that's almost over 1 second, and it's only a lap or 2 more while RT has the opportunity. Otherwise, it is going to be Brando who's going to be getting this, because those soft tires aren't lasting you more than a maximum of 5 to 6 laps with how they are. And now officially every single driver in this race has a penalty apart from Mutiel, who's got... Everybody out of him has got a 3-second time penalty. Raichu's got 9 seconds, so easy position for him there, and then it's 3 seconds, and if he's able to do that, he might be getting that 2nd place if he is anywhere closer. Archie and Brendo, so Archie and Brendo not only fighting for themselves on the track, but also fighting for that 2nd place out to maintain a P3 or to possibly get a podium here, because the one driver who doesn't have a penalty in this race might or might not have the opportunity to get closer to them and get on. And look at that, every single driver at the moment has a penalty. So the top 2 on a set of hards, with Archie on a set of soft compound tire. Then it is Raichu, Midu and Evil on a set of mediums, followed by Devin on a set of hards, in between with Ian on a set of mediums, and Romero on a set of hard compound tire. A lot of drivers on the hard tire, soft tires actually, not to mention eventually, but definitely I think it's different if you're at the back of the grid instead of softs, or you're at the front of the grid, because at the front you're fighting, you're pretty much constantly fighting. You know, if you're behind, you're trying to overtake, but if you're not even trying to overtake, you're at least doing enough to keep up. You're doing enough to just catch up to the guys, and then it's all about it. And it's also about if you're the leader, it's not like you try to simply stay ahead, but then also you're going to try to defend. Sometimes you have to you're going to push extra, and you do defend a little, and Oliver locks up a little, almost went into the back of the Sauber there. The Romero on that same corner nearly braking early, maybe made D's go very wide. So I wonder if that's going to be the same result. Reason that pushes Oliver a little bit wide. Meanwhile, both of them seem to have an issue here, but it is going to be Romero who ends up being behind at the moment, as Oliver will get past. He goes a little bit wide. Romero will have the opportunity to catch up back again, but will he be catching up back again? Not just yet. Maybe sometime soon, but not just yet. Or will he though? Because he does get past him very soon, as Romero will be now on and on his way to get past into P9, and now Dees will be on his way as well. The man who was fighting De Romero many laps ago outbraked himself, or rather Romero almost brake checked him there. You would have thought Dees has passed Oliver, but he is not past the RP, or at least he wasn't past the RP, because very wide goes Oliver there, and that'll easily allow Dees to get past him into turn 3, and the Ferrari will have himself ahead of that RB, and that rearing opening now on both the cars Or rather, no, that'll not open on that Ferrari. It's within 8/10ths, but those 8/10ths probably came just about now. It wasn't enough at that detection point zone, and that only means that D's can get that DRS, and as closer as it gets between these two, it's absolutely terrifying for them. Meanwhile, look at this one, though, as it is going to be these drivers. One Red Bull is ahead of the Archie. The other Red Bull is going to be on his way to get ahead of Archie as well. As I said, those soft tires are not going to be working, and indeed those aren't. And he's going to have to do over 9, almost 11 laps on these soft compound tires, and those are not going to be obviously function in the best way possible. Probably Russo had the best opportunity pitting on those soft tires, but then I think at the end of the lap, pitting very late, no matter what tire you're on, even if you're on the soft tire, it's pretty much of no use because you can't do much with it. Eventually it turns in you doing nothing. Special and D's are going to be fighting each other once again, and once more D's will get past Ian Oliver, and he'll get past him into P10. 1 point at least for the Ferrari, and maybe I would have thought that, so you know that, okay, D's is going to get past Ian early and he's going to get on, but so not just yet by the looks of it. Meanwhile, Midu is now within 8/10ths of Raichu, who is over 4.1 seconds of Brando. Brando's got 3 seconds of time penalty, so that means possible only P3 for Midu by the looks of it, because you would have thought maybe, you know, the amount of penalties everyone has, a possible opportunity for Raichu for Midu to take P2, but that's eventually not going to be the case right here, as Brando only has a 3-second time penalty, so he's going to continue on looking good and decently nice so far. So it'll be going okay and easy. Meanwhile, at the back, Ryan now will get past D's as well. So D's is now losing out. 13-lap old medium tires are not going to be feeling good at all, as now Raichu will be losing out to his teammate. Goes a little bit wide. Just a 1-lap tire deficit between these two, so that's pretty much non-existent. You have to say 1 lap. It's not much different, as Evil will now get past Archie as well, and that is eventually going to be a time. It is on. Going to be, the moves will be made. Dees is losing that position, but we're going to go back to our race leader, the man who we've seen just barely racing around, he's been on his own, leading by over 26 seconds, goes a little bit wide. He'll get another penalty, but it doesn't matter. Tyron, after a quiet weekend in Baku, it is going to be a win, and back to the top for Tyron as he wins the Austrian Grand Prix here in Spielberg. Brando, the next driver, who's in P2. Dees is taking the checkered flag. The Aston Martin of both of them are in fact at the very bottom, but it was going to be Killer, the final place driver, who will take the checkered flag as well. Brando has got a penalty, but he's going to come home to finish P2 on the track and should be on after the track as well, as Midu, who doesn't have a penalty but over 5 seconds behind him, as Raichu's going to finish in P4. He's got a bit of penalty, so let's see where will Evil end up. And now the penalties moving around will happen, but he's going to stay where he is. Raichu will keep his position, at least so far. Meanwhile, Archie is going to go over the line to finish P6, with Devon in P7, followed by Ian in P8. Okay, Devon's P7, Ian P8. What about Romero in that Sauber? It goes into P9, ends up taking the checkered flag, and Special will take that final place on the grid, and as he's going to be on. Meanwhile, we end up being with D's. He's finished up in P13. And that'll be it, ladies and gentlemen, the end of this one here. And Tyron, the man who had a quiet weekend in Baku, had fantastic racing fun, and I think the action was on as it went brilliantly good for all of them going around, as they've done it all. And Tyron, the man, as he he picks up where he left in Australia, as these are going to be your race results now. Tyron wins ahead of Brando in P2, Midu Miguel in P3, then comes right to in P4, followed by Evil, Archie, Devon, Ian, Romero, and Special in P10. Then Russo, Ryan, Dees, Freddy, DJ, Connibal, and Killer complete the 17-car grid, while Vig decided, he didn't decide, he just DNF'd and crashed out of the Grand Prix, which caused the one and only safety car of this race. So that's pretty much is going to be the end, ladies and gentlemen. It was myself, Zabi, taking you all through with all of this action and going around. And pretty much we're going to be getting to the end. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hope you all enjoyed it. 2 streams in a day, so that was going to be some fun as well. And thank you so much for tuning in, everybody who did watch both of them. And hopefully we'll be back next week once more. That was it for round 3 here with us, New 8 Championship. And we're out. See you soon next week. Adios.